Welcome to the Rainmaker Podcast, a show for people who are obsessed with all things marketing. I'm your host, Veronica, Romney, certified master marketer, international keynote speaker, workshop facilitator, and the author of a new book called Identity Marketing. Each week, I interview rainmakers from brands big and small to pull back the curtain on what's actually working in marketing today. We dig into real life wins and losses, and there's very real consequences, and get into spicy discussions of marketing controversies and opposing philosophies. This is the real marketing thought leadership you've been looking for in your ears on demand. This is the Rainmaker Podcast. Listen up, ladies. This is a podcast for you. No, it's not a dating podcast. This is a state of the union. Let's put it that way. It's a state of the union for female leaders, whether you're a female founder or a female professional, a female leader in the home, in the workplace. But this is a conversation with Carlyn Bushman, who is in the trenches every single day, in and out with other female founders. And it was our perspective, our hallway conversation about basically three big cannot avoid, let's talk about it, conversation points specifically that affect female leaders today in 2025. And I thought it was juicy, and I'm really excited that Carlyn went there. She came on spicy with me, and I really love the combo. So I think you're gonna have a lot of fun. I think you're gonna probably want to take out some notes, because there are some really good mic drop moments in here about what you can't not do. So without further ado, please welcome my guest, Carlyn. Carlyn, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Veronica. Great to be here.
So I think we're both getting on a little feisty, because before I officially push record, we were talking about how this podcast is going to be essentially a 2025 state of the union for any female founder and female leader too, leader of home, leader of workplace, leader of business, but just the female leader, professional founder, and why they can't not listen to this conversation. I identify as one, you identify as one. You're also in the trenches with so many, as part of your business model. It's a very interesting time in 2025, specifically for those of us who identify as a female. Let's just start from the tippity top. What's the one thing right from the jump where you're like, stop it right now?
Stop letting the environment drive your business decisions. Stop doing that. Yeah. It's a passion of mine that I keep hearing about. And what are we all going to do? Just put our head down and stop doing the work we love? Stop, growing our business? Stop climbing the corporate ladder? No, we've been here before. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be the last time we're going to ever be in a position like this with external things happening that make us feel like we're having whiplash every time we turn on the news, right?
I mean, seriously. So what do you when you say don't let your environmental circumstances dictate your action or inaction? Are you talking politics, tariffs, economy, AI? What is being relayed to you as excuses? I mean, they don't view it as an excuse. They think they're being smart, but for you, it's no, I think it's an excuse. What are those top excuses that you're hearing right now, specifically from female leaders?
Well, I'm in the trenches with product-based businesses so much right now. Yeah. So of course I'm teaching a tariffs workshop in June, and I actually don't know exactly what it's going to look like in June even, which is so fascinating. Yeah. Good point. But I really hear it as a tariff conversation. And somebody said to me recently, this brilliant woman, and she said, if tariffs are going to close your business, it was a bit fragile going into this specific time of our economy.
Snaps. That's so funny. I love those things. I asked my sister today in the car, I'm like, what kind of person do you want to marry one day? And she's like, oh, he needs to do this, and he needs to do this. And I'm like, okay, so you ready for the bamboozle of a question? Are you those things first? And she's like, so I love those self-reflection moments. We can blame tariffs because it is insane what's happening. And it's very, oh my gosh, whiplash, back and forth. But to your point, if your business was that temperamental or that unstable in the first place, then how strong was your business? Was it a hobby or was it a business? Because businesses have gone through harder seasons. That's funny. Okay. So yes, you are in the trenches with these product-based businesses. Tariffs is a real thing. So you say, don't do it. What's the antidote? How do you remain realistic, but also don't put your head in the ground like an ostrich?
It's a great question. I want to put my head in the ground like an ostrich sometimes. I mean, let's be honest. Like, I get it, so I feel it. And when I see it, I love to say that I'm always this passionate about it 24/7, but of course it's exhausting.
Yeah.
Of course it is. We've got to own that too. So I'm not making light of some of these decisions. I'm not saying, oh, just like, figure it out. No, there's a lot that goes into it. And I love data and I love spreadsheets, and spreadsheets are my love language. So I always go back to, okay, let's go back to the data and let's like use that in a non-emotional decision-making process here. Like, let's really look at the numbers tell me a story. So we're going to have to pivot a little bit, right? We're going to have to figure this out together. We're going to have to like see, where are the opportunities? There's always opportunities. I think we realize that there's always some opportunities. Maybe we just haven't figured those out quite yet.
Have you seen any of those things that I mean, without obviously disclosing who, but like, have you and your clients through your consulting been able to find money under the mattress in some capacities? Like, is there anything that you're like, make sure you check this, make sure in your P&L you look at this, like?
Oh yeah, there's been some really interesting aha moments. And when things are moving so fast, whether they're moving fast for us in a corporate setting, they're moving fast for us in an entrepreneur setting, it does cause you to pause and like revisit, like, what are those KPIs that are super important to you in your business? I think there's times when, there's seasons. People talk about seasons in business, whether it's corporate or entrepreneurship or all the things, right? So I think this is a bit of a season in our business right now where it really makes sense for us to get grounded back into driving our business, using those numbers that got us to where we are, but only applying them in something new. Like, what have you left on the table that you need to look at again? Relationships, nurturing. Like, I mean, I feel like everybody's so keen on like biz dev, new clients, new customers, new, which is really expensive. Like, if you look at lifetime value, right? Like, go back and look at all that biz dev you've done for the last, I don't know, quarter, even 6 months or so, and revisit some of those relationships. Like, that matters.
That's interesting. I recently did a presentation for an ed tech SaaS company. So a SaaS platform specifically for higher education. And they were asking me like how I view the customer journey. And I was like, first of all, it's not a customer journey. It's a prospect, customer, and win back journey. And they're like, what? I was like, wait a minute. I'm like, hold on. So I was like, a prospect is somebody who's never, ever, ever said yes, purchased, or given you any type of monetary value whatsoever. Like, they're still at zero, just hanging in your orbit. And like, you're right, they're extremely expensive to get over that purchase line. Then you have these customers who are like already they're utilizing your product, but like, are you like leveraging them to get prospects for you? Because if they're happy, why are they telling their friends, and why are they being, incentivized to tell their friends? And then there's always the sleeper journey, the journey that no one has in their playbooks, which is fascinating to me. And I learned it at ancestry.com when I was like 20 years old, but it's like the win back, right? It's the previous customer who at one point said yes to you, trusted you, enough to like swipe the credit card, no longer pays you. Why? Clearly you're a different business today than you were when they used you like 6 months ago, a year ago, 3 years ago. Have you talked to them? Have you reached out and be like, hey, you, it's been a minute. So I thought that was really interesting. It's very validating what you shared, is like, it's not just one journey. There's actually multiple journeys. And then within those journeys is individual conversations and relationships with different buyer segments too. So I completely agree with you. I think sometimes we try to be overly simplistic, but sometimes the gold is in the details of the data and the audience segmentation.
I love the term you used. I'm going to
Win
use
back.
that. Sleeper.
Yeah.
That's
like low-hanging fruit cash.
Always. And so let's say you're somewhere different in your business today, and we haven't talked in 2 or 3 years or whatever the case might be. And I am, or any of my clients are. So what?
Yeah.
So reach out. Like, I would love to hear from you. If I haven't heard from you in 2 or 3 years, like, I would be like, hey, you, like, this is so nice, because at a time when we're all like, I feel like we're working really hard and we're not seeing the results, or we have our head in the sand, or we're dealing with these environment things. How great is it to hear from somebody that you haven't heard from in a while? It's great.
Well, and I think this is the advantage of again, this is like a state of the union of women, but like, I do think that women are more inclined to be relationship oriented than transactional. And so if you look at your buyers, as in like they have not purchased, they have purchased, they used to purchase. Like if you look at these like relationships, which is what we do so intuitively as women who have like, we really do prioritize relationships in our lives. It's like what keeps the glue in the family or in our communities. I think that is a natural advantage, I think, for female founders, even so much more than our male counterparts sometimes.
I do too. And I think what you're pointing out is when you continue those relationships, we also have to remember when you're working on biz dev, there's so much noise out there. Like there is so much noise. So with noise, you're trying to make a decision, you're getting conflicting advice. You're working with people who claim to be experts in every area, from mentors to coaches to consultants to, even in a corporate setting, right? All of those things. And then you get decision fatigue. Mm-hmm. And then you're like, peace out, I'm done, right? So if you can reestablish some of those trusted relationships that you've had with peers, colleagues, previous clients, right? And you are that trusted resource with all of the above. What a gift. What a gift, because it takes that decision fatigue out of play too. Like, so if you came to me, Veronica, and said, hey, I highly recommend this person to talk to you about XYZ, or, maybe you just want to have a nice conversation, 100% trust there. And I'm so glad I met you. And I'm so glad we reconnected, right?
Yeah, it's a valid point. Yeah, no. Okay. So step one, don't freeze. Don't stick your head in the sand like an ostrich. Don't do it. It will, there was always going to be periods of pinch and all of that fun stuff, whether it's tariffs of today and AI of tomorrow. Okay. Second big thing that you feel, that I feel passionately, like what is the next thing that we want our female founders to be like, do this, like you must do this?
Exactly what we just said. Go back through your relationships and back through those sleeper clients, those sleeper relationships you have not talked to, and re-engage.
Okay. I'm going to throw out another one because I was thinking about this in a previous conversation that I had earlier, but like, so I just to even give you a personal example, I'm like anti courses right now. So I'm just going to say it. Sorry. But like, I am so anti isolated education. I think it's wildly lonely. I don't even like going to the gym by myself. Like, I don't like the online course container of a product anymore. I bought too many that I never finished, all of that fun stuff that comes with it. Right. And yet yesterday, I literally couldn't swipe my credit card fast enough for $1,500 for an AI course, an AI program by somebody that is an AI operator, not just theorist or self-proclaimed expert, bro in the basement kind of guy. No, she's like in it, and she's teaching us how to create these custom ChatGPTs for every single role within an organization or in your home. Forget it, right? And I couldn't throw my credit card at the screen fast enough. Wasn't even a hard pitch. I had to beg her for the link. But like for me, the reason I'm saying this is because to me, AI is like a non-negotiable. It's literally a non-negotiable. And most of the AI voices are men. And so one of the arguments that she was making was like, it's going to be a huge detriment to females and for females if we don't lean harder into this new technology, this new future, because AI should have a female influence. I was like, oh shit, I never even thought of that. Like, yeah. Like, so I was curious on your thoughts, how AI, I know that you love AI, you're an AI optimist as well.
And I'm with you. And it's so funny you just brought this up. I swiped my credit card yesterday also for an AI upgrade on something I'm working on as well. Boom. Literally said, don't send me the landing page, send me the checkout link. I'm
Take
there,
my money.
I'm done. I did the same thing because funny. You're right. Staying ahead and staying engaged in that is so imperative. And I infuse it with all of my, whether it's education, whether it's my, client relationships, whatever it is, I'm always, always, always teaching on AI and all the advantages it has. And you're without a female voice in there, yes, we will lose market share in that space. I mean, absolutely.
Well, that's just another, if we don't lean in and put our voice and, push and force our influence onto this future, this AI future, I feel like AI is just going to further objectify women in the first place.
So when you say, when I have a question for you then, as you're saying, if we don't put our voice into AI, like what does that mean?
Yeah. So like, so same thing that happened in like the 50s and 60s. Like, again, not to bring up Scott Galloway, because he is a very controversial figure and he does speak a lot about like the lonely man. And I was like, but his whole point was like back in the 50s and 60s, 1/3 of the world's responsibilities fell upon the shoulders of a white man, not people of color, not women, just the white man. And how far the pendulum has swung today, where like women are outpacing men more than ever before in like a financial contribution, education contribution. But I was thinking about that with like when it comes to like women and our voices, like if majority of AI jobs are going to male candidates, if majority of AI founders in the venture capitalist space or in the private equity space is again male founders who are running these AI companies, then clearly the voice, the influence will predominantly be male figures, male voices that are influencing our AI future. I mean, Sam Altman is a man, so like, as far as I know, so like, that's what I mean by saying like there are certain industries that are heavily biased in one gender than the other. It just is. And I'm sad to think that what I've noticed just observationally is that if AI is a category, a new industry, it seems to me that it's becoming more heavily skewed in a masculine gender. And I was like, oh no, like we need to, it's the opposite. Like we need to have more females involved in this technology, because I don't want my kids dating an AI girlfriend, an AI boyfriend, but that's really what people are searching right now.
Yeah. Okay. So that is a great perspective. Totally relatable. And here's a funny story. I was just selected, interviewed and selected as a judge for Startup World Cup.
Ooh.
And very excited.
I like that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's fun.
It's a lot of finance, fintech, tech, all the things, right? So, and AI, to your point, which will be really interesting, and it's coming up really soon. Having said that, they shared with me, I was one of the first female judges to be selected in Startup World Cup, and I thought, yay. And the other side of me said, what?
Yeah, sad.
Like, wait, what? Yeah. Not. We're in 2025 here, yeah. So I think your point is very valid, that if we don't step in and start to get comfortable and lean into that space and what it can do for us, as consumers, as businesses, as leaders, as female leaders, building companies, building our space in the corporate setting, all of the above, we are going to get left behind. And you're right. Then we're going to be scrambling, and then it's going to be another couple decades before we start to creep up again to have the income level match or something of that nature.
Specifically when it comes to AI roles, AI companies, AI forward institutions, like I just would like it to be more fit. And again, I married a white man. I give birth to 2 boys. Like I love my men. I love my boys. Same. And I want them to have every opportunity possible. But I just, where there is both male and female contribution is to me one of the greatest sources of like the best case scenario, to have both those energy types representing in the room and influencing our future. And I just find that like right now, at least maybe again, what I've noticed is just AI is heavily masculine. So like if there was a State of the Union call to action for our female listeners, it's like, listen, like throw your money at AI education, throw your money at AI curriculum or education in some capacity, because it literally is life-changing. Even my 60-something-year-old mother was using it to write her eulogy for her father. I'm like, well, this is interesting. So like, it's more than just a chat. It's more than just a conversation with a radically affirming AI. It can play every role in your life, which is just wild. It's just wild. Okay. So we're not going to bury our heads in the sand. We're going to say yes to AI. What else?
Yes. Very important. Yes. Very important. I think you're going to make data-driven decisions. Okay. I think you have to look at where your business is today. There's nothing better. Like I said earlier, there's nothing better to me than a good spreadsheet, a good dashboard, good KPIs. But let's just remember, you can do anything. You just can't do everything. So, you can measure everything, but pick the things that are actually going to be the drivers in your business or your career. Like really look at what that looks like. Because I think too often we try to do more. They always say, Veronica, that you can do, let me see, you don't do as much as you think you can get done in the course of a week or a month, but you usually typically can do more than you think you can get done in a year.
Yeah. So can you make that a little bit more concrete and tangible for me when you say like, data decision, moves and action steps that's based in data, not drama? Like, what does that mean? Because it still feels ethereal.
Of course. So I would ask, what are your 1, 2, not more than 2, maybe 3 strategies for your year? What does that look like? So what do you want your 2025 to look like? And I challenge any business to think about that personally, professionally. So let's use something really simple. Like 2025, I decided, and I'm going to use something that's personal, I would really like to learn how to play chess.
Oh, cute. Okay.
Like I'm going to learn how to play chess. Yeah. I don't know how to play chess. Like I'm competitive in nature. So I'm like, this would be good for me. It's forward, like it's using my brain a lot, strategy, of course, like that would make sense. So I'm going to learn how to play chess. Well, I can't decide on December 20th that I'm going to start to practice the chess app every day for the next 11 days. And I'll have that done by the end of the year. That's ridiculous, right? So one of my strategies, if it is to learn to play chess, and I know this is not business related, but like I said, you could use this for anything. What will I do every week, every month to measure the progress that I am making to learn how to play chess? So that would be something I would track in my dashboard. Let's take this from a business perspective. Let's say you decided from a business perspective that you wanted to grow your direct-to-consumer e-com business. Now, that's a pretty lofty goal. So your strategy is not your rev goal, but your strategy is, I need to increase my D2C by 8%. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, that's something easy to measure, but how are you going to increase your D2C by 8%? What does that look like? And then you've got like 6 things underneath that potentially, right? Things that we've already talked about. So to really make it tangible, you have got to put it down. And I'm huge on dashboards. Put it on your dashboard, put your strategies on your dashboard. And what are you measuring every month? Every month, put down, how did your D2C grow or shrink, whatever that looks like, right? How many times did you practice chess in the course of a month?
Interesting. Okay. Can I? Yes. And so I like the improv rule of yes. And as opposed to like saying, no, I don't think that's true. So yes. And I also kind of have a passionate take on that because I think too often candidates at work are given KPIs. They're given outcomes and they're given KPIs, but they're not given strategies. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm just so confused. So like the way that I see it, that makes the most sense to me, and I'm just curious your perspective, is like it should be outcome, strategies, KPIs. So like let's say you're using the chess example. Like one of my goals, one of the outcomes that I would like to have happen in 2025 is I will have the ability to confidently play chess. Sweet. Clearly defined outcome. I would like to be confident playing chess. Maybe you want to be even more ambitious. I want to be like in a chess champion, whatever. I like whatever. You define the outcome. You define the level of ambitiousness of that outcome. But the outcome of some degree is that you are confident playing chess. Okay, so then if I just have the outcome and I just have the KPI of like number of times you're playing, what that doesn't tell me though is like, how are you achieving that outcome? There still feels like a detachment. So like if your goal is to play chess at a confident level by the end of the conclusion of this year, you get to decide how you wish to do that or become that. For you, it could be I'm investing in a chess app like Duolingo, but for chess. It could be I'm actually going to hire a chess coach. F it. I'm hiring a freaking coach. I'm spending $400, per session, and I'm going to like get coach. Another one could be like, I'm going to the local park where there's an 85-year-old ex-chess champion. I'm just going to play with him, and we're just going to talk about like World War I, World War II. I don't know. Like, right? There's so many ways you can, and the same thing with business. Like when Bob Iger was like, we're going to be the number one animated movie, company in the world. He could have either poached the best animators from every single company. He could have bought Pixar, which is exactly what he did. He did acquisition strategy. He's like, I'm not going to piecemeal this. I'm going to buy the best because we're no longer the best. I'm just buying them. And he did that with Marvel. He did with a whole bunch of them. Like clearly acquisition is his favorite strategy when he has the cash of Disney, right? So, but the KPI is only measuring how effective the strategy is at achieving the outcome. Because if you don't dictate the strategy, then what is the KPI even measuring in the first place? Sometimes you pick the wrong strategy, but you'll only know that because the KPI is measuring not the outcome, but the strategy intended to make the outcome happen. Yes?
Oh, Yes. Love it. It's so juicy to me because it's just like Reed Hastings, right?
Yeah.
He just announced that he wants to be part of the Magnificent Seven, right? $1 trillion businesses. And he's either going to raise subscription rates for everybody who currently has a Netflix, or guess what? He's going to expand his base.
Right.
He announced he's going into India and Brazil until maybe recently when they talked about tariffing movies, but that's a whole nother conversation. Yeah. So yes, same kind of thing. You have to figure out what that looks like. I agree with you 1,000%. So that is why you really have to think about what is between the outcome and the KPI. And that is that thick, juicy, wonderful part. And guess who gets to help with that? Our friend AI.
So
all
true.
You do
so true.
is you take that, right? Yeah. You dump it into AI and say, this is where I'm at. Like, this is what I'm looking at. Here's what I'm thinking about as my strategy. Can you give me some really good KPIs? And I even drill it down further. I ask it to break it down into months and weeks. How much time would I need to spend on each of my strategies to get this outcome over the course of a week, month, quarter, year? And now I've got a playbook. And I'm like, thank you very much. That happened literally in 12 seconds.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, because that's funny. Me and Chatty were having a conversation on behalf of a consulting client that I was working with, and it gave me like way too aggressive of a timetable. I'm like, whoa. Their product's not there yet. They have a lean, mean team. Like, whoa, not 0 to 3 months. Like, give me like 6 to 9. Like, but you're right. Like, that is, the more you feed AI and the more you give it context and circumstantial information, the better it does. But you're 100% right. Like, sometimes a strategy is the right strategy, but you didn't let it bake enough either. So that's the other component of it, is like right place, right person, right time. Gosh, man, like, it's just so funny. Like, business is amazing and deeply rewarding, but it is, there is, and again, back to the female founder, there is that intuition or that just ability for you to, like, the data's telling me this, but my hunch or my gut is telling me that we just need more time. It's not a bad strategy. So that's like, sometimes when I over lean on data, I can oftentimes also overly course correct. So it's like, it's that combination effect where you need both head and mind. Or no, what am I talking about? Head and gut. Stomach, second mind.
Head and second mind. Yeah. Well, and like, to your point, Veronica, oh my gosh, I not only like miss the connection sometimes and overly lean into it, I start obsessing. So one of the things I do, because I love numbers and because I love measuring everything, then I start obsessing a little too much. And I mean that in the best way, but I really do. And I have to like pull myself out of that. I have to actually say, just back away for a second. You need to detach a little bit from some of these outcomes for a hot minute. Yeah.
I'm glad you gave that tip. Okay. So we have our top 3. We have, don't bury your head in the sand. Non-negotiable of our AI future being female led, not just male led, and then letting data drive our decisions and tying our strategies to our outcomes and the KPI. Okay, that's all just gold. Is there any final thing you're like, and here's the asterisk, don't forget?
Yeah, I think the only asterisk I would say is a rising tide lifts all boats, right? So if you don't know where to start with your strategy or your KPIs, lean on each other. We're really good at that. And you talked about that early on in the episode. I think sometimes we forget that we don't have to know everything about everything.
True. I'm glad that you said that. Yeah, because there's so much pressure to have all the answers. There's the t-shirt that's like, I don't ask Google, I just ask my wife. but it is exhausting too, because it goes back to that decision fatigue where you feel like you have to have all the answers. So again, okay. So we do this fun thing on the podcast where we leave the last question for our guests to ask me whatever they want, because I got to ask you everything and with no prep. So only fair. You get to ask the final question.
I am so excited. And I love being able to have these back and forth conversations. And I love the yes and, by the way, because I also love being challenged. So thank you for doing that, because I think that provides a lot of good insights. It's what everybody else would want to ask too. So my question for you is, if you had to start your career over tomorrow with only your mindset and one business skill, what would you choose and why?
It can't be what I have today. Because obviously I'm still a marketer almost 20 years later, and still love it. But if I had to start this is interesting. If I had to start a business tomorrow and not
even starting a business necessarily, could be a career too. Like if you had to start your career, like if you decided, I've always want to get into, research or, whatever. Right.
Yeah. So I think, okay, I'm just going to, no prep, just what's coming to my mind. If I had to start over tomorrow in some capacity, whether I'm scrapping the business I have, new business, or let's say I'm going back to a W-2 status, like no more entrepreneurship, I'm going back in. What would I take, or what would be the number one skill? I think the one thing that I underappreciate or underutilize or underrealize, I think, is buy-in. The testimony of buy-in. What I mean by that is like, I am such an aggressive operator. I am aggressive because I'm confident. Like I have a high self-esteem in my abilities and skills to like make shit happen when there's no feasible way to make shit happen. Like after so many years of being an entrepreneur, I really think I have a lot of resourcefulness or grit. Being a mother, I don't know what I'm doing every day. I don't know what I'm doing. so I tend to charge ahead with a lot of confidence, and I have enough experiences to do it alone. Like if nobody wants to join me, I'll do it. Right. Even if it means all by myself, which I'm not saying I enjoy it. I'm just saying I know that about myself. But the one thing that if I were to go back if I were to go back and start a company and was trying to get funding, if I went back into the W-2 arena and I had other executives on the leadership team besides myself, if whatever I decided to do, I think the one thing that I would prioritize before being a product expert, a knowledge expert, here's my playbook and here's how we're going to, before I do all of that, I would try to take significant pause, take a beat, to be very intentional about buy-in from every single person that I would want to champion whatever it is that I propose next. So sitting and spending time with just the chief technology officer, if that was appropriate, or sitting and spending time with that future buyer that I never had a relationship with before, not being so confident that I'm cocky, not being so overly aggressive that I skip over the people that built something before I got here. I just would want to literally have buy-in, but buy-in is not, it's earned, it's not given. And so you have to earn somebody's buy-in and earn their respect. And I think I would, knowing how I've started everything else in my life, which is fast and furious, I would not do that this time. I would actually use wisdom and time to be no, we can go slow so that we can go fast later.
That's a great State of the Union response.
Yeah. I think I don't know, the older I get, the more that I find that there's beauty in the pause. There's beauty in taking a beat. Because when you're rushing, sometimes it can be confidence, or it can just be the pressure to prove something right or prove yourself, or it really actually comes from more of a place of insecurity more times than not. And I'm not insecure anymore, so I don't need to operate like that.
Yeah. And that happens. And I think what you just described is kind of a lasting message for everyone to hear too. And that's how important it is to have, whether you call it a calendar cleanse or you call it time budgeting, putting that time in. I'm huge about, we can do forecasting and budgeting, but time budgeting or calendar cleanses.
I like that. A calendar cleanse. That's cute. Also, I'm a marketer, so I like the 2 C's. I love the alliteration. Carlyn, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Thank you for coming in and being spicy with me, and just because we do it from a place of so much love. This is not an anti-male podcast. This is just a loving hug to female leaders in all arenas about we have so much opportunity, more than ever before, and we need it's up to us to take it. We got to take it. So that's us lovingly shaking you. Take it. Where can people hang out with you? Where can people learn more about you?
It's very easy. CarlynBushman.com, Carlyn Bushman Consulting on Instagram. My name is unique enough that if you just type in Carlyn Bushman, you're going to find me.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for being on today's Rainmaker podcast.
Thanks, Veronica.
Thanks for listening today. If you've loved what you heard, make sure to rate the show, subscribe, and leave a review. It helps us get the Rainmaker podcast in front of more passionate marketers just like you. And if you're ready to transform your marketing from buy this to be this, pick up my new identity marketing book available on my website at veronicaromney.com. Until next time, my friends, keep making it rain.